Three Nobel Prize winners just shattered everything you thought was real. John Clark, Michel Devoret, and John Martinis received the 2025 Physics Nobel for proving something that should be impossible: billions of particles passing through solid walls without breaking them, without drilling holes, just appearing on the other side. They called it macroscopic quantum tunneling. You might think this is abstract science with no connection to your daily struggles, but you'd be wrong. The walls blocking your abundance, your relationships, your health, they operate under the exact same quantum laws. Those barriers only feel solid because nobody taught you how to tunnel through them. The science is clear. What stops you isn't real, it's just frequency. Before we go deeper, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because content that bridges cutting-edge physics with practical consciousness transformation doesn't show up everywhere. And YouTube only delivers more of this if you signal your interest right now. Let me show you how particles do the impossible, and how you can too. Pick up a tennis ball and throw it at a concrete barrier. It hits, it bounces back. Every single time. No exceptions. This is classical physics. Predictable cause and effect. Action meets reaction. Your entire life operates on this assumption. Try something, fail, conclude it's impossible. Ball hits wall, ball returns, story over. But here's where reality gets strange. Shrink that ball down to electron size. Peep the wall, but make it incredibly thin, an energy barrier. Launch the electron toward it. Classical physics says it should bounce back. Insufficient energy to cross. But watch what actually happens. The electron goes through. No impact, no ricochet, just transmission. The particle appears on the far side without ever occupying the middle space. This is quantum tunneling. The electron didn't demolish the barrier, didn't leap over it, didn't find a crack. It penetrated solidity as if solidity were fiction. Now apply this to your life barriers. How many times have you collided with obstacles and assumed they were impenetrable? Lack of money, absent opportunities, health conditions that won't improve, connections that never form. You attempted movement, encountered resistance, concluded the barrier was permanent. But quantum physics just revealed that impenetrability is illusion. Particles tunnel constantly. The real question isn't whether your barrier can be crossed. The real question is, are you vibrating at the frequency that permits tunneling? Understanding requires grasping what particles actually are. Quantum particles aren't tiny solid spheres floating in space. They're waves, probability waves. Before measurement, an electron doesn't exist in any specific location. It exists as a wave function, a mathematical description showing where it might appear. Where the wave peaks high, probability is strong. Where it dips low, probability drops. But the wave never reaches absolute zero. Never. This means there's always a chance, however microscopic, for the particle to materialize in completely unexpected locations. It didn't travel there. It simply collapsed there. Translate this to your circumstances. Your future, before you choose it, behaves exactly like that unmeasured electron. It's undefined. It exists as a field of possibilities. Multiple versions of your reality coexist as uncollapsed waves. The version where you thrive, the version where you stay stuck. the version where you find love, the version where you remain isolated. All these versions are legitimate waves in the quantum field of your existence. Your consciousness is what collapses one into physical reality. The height of your personal wave, the probability of each version manifesting, gets determined by your vibration, emotional state, subconscious beliefs, mental focus. These components create your wave function. Someone living in scarcity frequency has a wave function that peaks high in scarcity realities. Abundance exists as possibility, but the wave barely reaches that region. Tunneling can't occur. The barrier appears solid, not because the barrier is genuine, but because the wave function doesn't extend to the other side with sufficient amplitude. Notice the reversal here. You don't manufacture abundance from nothing. Abundance already exists as quantum possibility. What you manufacture is the wave function that allows your collapse into that reality. And wave functions get built through sustained vibration, aligned emotion, coherent belief. When all your internal electrons, your thoughts, feelings, intentions, oscillate at identical frequency, your wave expands. When it penetrates the barrier, tunneling happens. You appear on the far side without traversing the middle. No gradual progression. Quantum leap. Berkeley, California, 1985. 3 physicists working on something the scientific community considered absurd. Their goal: prove quantum tunneling doesn't just happen with individual particles, but with entire macroscopic systems. Billions of particles tunneling collectively, moving as unified wave. Nobody believed it. Quantum behavior was microscopic by definition. Large objects always behave classically. Always, except when they don't. Clark, Dvorak, and Martinez constructed an electrical circuit using 2 superconducting wires separated by an ultra-thin insulating layer, a Josephson junction, a barrier that classical electrons could never cross. Then they cooled the system to temperatures colder than interstellar space, a few millikelvins above absolute zero, extreme cold to eliminate all thermal noise, all random vibration that might interfere. They passed current through the circuit. Low intensity initially, everything behaving as classical superconductivity predicted. Current flowing, 0 voltage, stable state. Then they gradually increased the current. At the critical point, something extraordinary occurred. Voltage appeared from nowhere. The system escaped its trapped state. How? Billions of electrons, organized into Cooper pairs, behaved as single particle. One collective wave function representing the entire circuit. And this giant wave, macroscopic, visible to human instruments, tunneled through the barrier. The system jumped from one quantum state to another without passing through intermediate states. Macroscopic tunneling. First time in history, quantum behavior was proven at human scale. Grasp the depth of this. It wasn't one electron crossing. It was the entire system, trillions of particles moving as unified consciousness, changing state through tunneling. Now, apply this to yourself. How many times have you tried changing just one piece of your life? One thought here, one habit there, one isolated action. Nothing happened. Barrier remained solid because macroscopic tunneling requires total coherence. All your internal electrons, every belief, every emotion, every intention must vibrate together. When conscious mind wants one thing and subconscious believes another, there's no coherence, no collective wave, no tunneling. Classical attempt to break the wall, and wall always wins. But when alignment happens, when every part of you oscillates at identical frequency, your personal wave function becomes macroscopic. And then barrier dissolves, not gradually, instantly. You shift timelines without walking the path between them. How do we know the Berkeley experiment was genuine quantum tunneling and not just thermal energy pushing the system? Because there's a brutal difference between classical process and quantum process. In classical physics, temperature matters. Heat supplies energy that lets particles jump barriers. Hotter means easier escape, thermal activation. In quantum physics, temperature stops mattering. Tunneling occurs even at absolute cold. It doesn't depend on external energy. It depends on internal wave function state change. That's exactly what Clark, Devoret, and Martinis observed. At higher temperatures, correlation still existed between temperature and critical current needed for escape. Classical thermal behavior. But as they cooled the system, something shifted. Past a certain point, temperature stopped influencing. Escape rate remained constant, regardless of cold. Could only be pure quantum tunneling. System wasn't receiving external energy. It was changing state through internal coherence. Translate this to your reality. How many times have you waited for external circumstances to change before you changed? Waited for money to fall from sky, right person to appear, opportunity to knock on door. Thermal activation depends on environment heating you up. But conscious tunneling doesn't work that way. Doesn't depend on outside. Depends on inside. Coherent internal state permits leap even when external temperature is zero. Even when circumstances are unfavorable. Even when physical reality shows no evidence yet. Because quantum collapse precedes physical manifestation. You tunnel first in the field of possibilities. Then physical reality updates. Never reversed. Every time you tried and failed, it was because your internal Cooper pairs, beliefs plus emotions, weren't synchronized. Conscious wanted, subconscious resisted. No coherence, no tunneling. Barrier appears solid, not because it's real, but because your wave function doesn't cross it. Which barrier did you think was solid, but now see is permeable? Drop a comment. Superconductors are materials that, at extremely low temperatures, conduct electricity with zero resistance, zero loss, zero friction. Current flows eternally without dissipating energy. But how is this possible? In normal conductors, electrons constantly collide. They crash into atoms, scatter energy, generate heat, electrical resistance. It's like you trying to manifest something while doubting, sabotaging, contradicting. Energy scatters. Nothing flows. But in superconductors, when temperature drops sufficiently, something extraordinary happens. Electrons that should repel each other because both carry negative charge start attracting. They form pairs, Cooper pairs. Two electrons moving together, synchronized, like perfectly aligned dancers. When billions of these pairs form, all vibrating at identical frequency, resistance vanishes. Perfect flow. Superconductivity. Observe the profound metaphor here. Your conscious desire and subconscious belief should repel each other. Conscious wants abundance. Subconscious believes money corrupts. Conscious wants love. Subconscious believes you're unworthy. Repulsion, maximum resistance. Energy scatters trying to cross the barrier, but barrier always wins. Zero tunneling. But when cooling happens, when you quiet mental noise, meditate, silence contradictions, something changes. Conscious and subconscious start synchronizing. Cooper pair forms. When formation completes, internal resistance disappears. Manifestation flows without effort, without struggle. Consciousness, superconductivity. Notice that cooling isn't passivity. It's removal of everything that interferes. Scattered thoughts are heat. Doubts are thermal vibration breaking coherence. Contradictory beliefs are constant collisions dissipating your energy. When you eliminate this through presence, meditation, alignment, internal temperature drops, and in silence, Cooper pairs form. Desire and belief dance together. Intention and emotion vibrate on same wave. And manifestation happens, not as struggle, as natural consequence of internal coherence. Practical example: person wants prosperity, affirms, visualizes, acts, but subconscious carries belief that wealth is spiritually corrupt. Repulsion. Cooper pair doesn't form. Maximum resistance. Energy scatters. Solid barrier. But when this person cools, observes the contradiction without judgment, allows subconscious to update through conscious reframing, pairs begin forming. Conscious wants prosperity. Subconscious now believes prosperity is impact vehicle. Alignment. Superconductivity. Flow without resistance. The Josephson junction. Two superconductors separated by ultra-thin insulator. Barrier that's impassable by any classical logic. Electrons on one side lack sufficient energy to jump to the other. Should stay tracked. Should, but they don't. Because wave function doesn't respect physical barriers. Wave on left side extends beyond the superconductor, penetrates the insulator, begins overlapping with wave on right side. Even though physically separated, both sides vibrate together. Wave function superposition. When superposition is strong enough, electrons tunnel. Not because barrier was removed. Barrier remains there. But because particle exists on both sides simultaneously before collapse. Tunneling isn't travel. It's selective collapse of wave function. Now translate this to the barrier between your current reality and desired reality. You look at your life and see separation. Here's what you have. There's what you want. Insulator in middle. Solid barrier. Lack of money, lack of time, lack of opportunity, lack of worthiness. All the reasons why tunneling would be impossible. But those reasons are classical. Consciousness isn't classical. Your personal wave function doesn't terminate at the edge of your current physical reality. It extends, reaches realities that haven't collapsed yet. When it overlaps with the wave function of desired reality, tunneling becomes possible. You don't need to break the barrier. Don't need circumstances to change first. You need to vibrate as if you're already on the other side, because wave function that extends to the other side is wave function of someone who already exists there. Focused observation, sustained attention at that frequency collapses the superposition into manifestation. Concrete example. Person visualizes new house, isn't creating from nothing. House already exists as possibility in quantum field. All possible houses exist. Question isn't creation. Question is collapse. And collapse happens when person's wave function overlaps with house's wave function. How does this happen? Person doesn't wait for money to appear to then feel abundance. Person feels abundance now. Vibrates as owner before physically possessing. Wave function extends to other side of barrier. Superposition happens. Tunneling follows. Physical manifestation is delayed consequence of collapse that already occurred in quantum realm. Notice the sequence. Collapse first, matter after. Never reversed. Every time you wait to see to believe, you invert quantum physics. An inversion blocks tunneling. Paradigm shattered in 1985. Quantum physics isn't exclusive to atoms. Macroscopic systems can behave quantumly. A 1-centimeter circuit, visible to naked eye, containing trillions of particles, demonstrated tunneling. Not individual particle crossing barrier, entire system changing state collectively. This revolutionized everything. Because if macroscopic matter tunnels, why couldn't your entire life tunnel? Why would change have to be gradual? Why couldn't you leap from one timeline to another instantly? The answer is, you can. Necessary condition is coherence. All parts vibrating at identical frequency. In the Berkeley experiment, billions of electrons formed Cooper pairs that moved as single wave. Perfect coherence. In extreme cold, without thermal noise interfering, entire system vibrated together, and tunneling occurred. But in daily life, you don't see this. People don't switch realities instantaneously. Why? Environmental noise. Contradictory thoughts are thermal vibration breaking coherence. Conflicting beliefs are collisions scattering energy. Doubt is heat, preventing Cooper pair formation. You want one thing, but believe another. Want abundance, believe scarcity. Want love, believe loneliness. Want health, believe limitation. Conscious pulls one direction, subconscious pulls opposite. Zero coherence. System behaves classically. Gradual change, effortful, blocked. But when you create internal superconductor environment, when you cool through meditation, presence, silencing contradictions, coherence emerges. And with coherence, tunneling, quantum leap, instantaneous state change without traversing intermediate path. You don't gradually improve until arriving there. You tunnel there. Appear on far side as if always existed there. Because in quantum field, you always did. Just hadn't collapsed yet. Practical solution isn't adding more techniques. It's removing noise. Stop vibrating at contradictory frequencies. Align every thought, every emotion, every belief in same direction. When total alignment happens, your wave function becomes macroscopic. And entire system of your life tunnels. Not piece by piece, everything together. Complete quantum leap. First practical step. Most people mistake classical barriers for quantum barriers. Classical barrier has physical cause blocking physical effect. No money because no job. No relationship because no social exposure. These require classical solutions. Get job, increase exposure. Quantum barrier is different. It's when you have access, opportunity, capability, but still can't cross. Money flows to others in identical situations. Relationships form for people with similar circumstances. Health improves for patients with same diagnosis. But not for you. That's quantum barrier. Not physical blockage, frequency blockage. How to identify? Ask, is this barrier consistently solid for everyone or just for me? If answer is just for me, it's quantum. Your wave function isn't extending to the other side. Not because you lack external resources, because you lack internal coherence. Example, two people, same age, same education, same city. One manifests career opportunities constantly. Other can't get interview. Classical explanation, first person networks better. But quantum explanation, first person's wave function peaks high in opportunity realities. Second person's wave function peaks high in scarcity realities. Same external circumstances, different internal frequencies. Once you've identified quantum barrier, second method is wave extension. Remember, particles tunnel because their wave function doesn't stop at physical boundary. It extends through and beyond barrier. Your wave function is your energetic presence. It's composed of where you place attention, what you emotionally charge, what you repeatedly think about. Right now, if you're stuck, your wave function is concentrated entirely on current reality side of barrier. All attention on lack. All emotion charging what's missing. All thoughts rehearsing limitation. To extend wave function, you must place attention on other side before physical evidence appears. This isn't positive thinking. This is quantum mechanics. Where attention goes, wave function flows. Specific practice. Spend designated time daily vibrating as if barrier doesn't exist. Not I will have. Not I hope to get. Present tense existence. I am. Feel it as current fact, not future wish. This isn't lying to yourself. This is extending your probability wave into desired reality region. Neuroscience confirms this. Brain cannot distinguish between vividly imagined experience and actual experience. Both create same neural patterns, same emotional signatures. When you consistently generate feeling state of desired reality, your wave function expands there. Superposition forms between current state and desired state. Tunneling becomes possible. Third method addresses the core problem, internal repulsion. Your conscious desire and subconscious belief must pair up like electrons in superconductor. When they repel each other, maximum resistance. When they attract and pair, zero resistance. Most manifestation failure happens here. Conscious says, I want wealth. Subconscious says, rich people are greedy. Repulsion. Energy scatters. Nothing tunnels. Or conscious says, I deserve love. Subconscious says, I always get abandoned. Repulsion. Barrier stays solid. Cooper pair formation requires cooling first. You can't force alignment while system is hot, agitated, conflicted. Meditation, breath work, silent observation, these cool the system. In cooled state, you can observe contradictions without triggering defensive reactions. Then reframe subconscious belief, not by denying it, but by updating information. Subconscious believed rich people are greedy because it absorbed that from early environment. Show it new evidence. People using wealth for impact. Prosperity enabling contribution. Subconscious updates when shown proof, not when forced. As old belief softens, conscious desire and new subconscious belief start attracting. They form pair. Synchronized vibration. When billions of your mental emotional electrons pair up this way, superconductivity emerges. Manifestation flows without internal resistance. Practical exercise. Write down conscious desire. Write down contradicting subconscious belief. Don't fight the belief. Ask, what evidence would update this belief? Then actively seek that evidence. Read cases. Find examples. Experience situations that contradict old belief. Feed subconscious new data. Watch Cooper pairs form naturally. Fourth method is systematic noise elimination. Remember the Berkeley experiment. Scientists cooled circuit to near absolute zero to eliminate thermal interference. You must do same with consciousness. Mental noise is thermal vibration preventing coherence. What counts as noise? Scattered attention jumping between worries, repetitive thoughts rehearsing problems, emotional reactions triggered by external circumstances, information overload from media consuming. Every distraction raises your internal temperature. Higher temperature means particles collide more, coherence breaks, tunneling stops. Cooling isn't relaxation. It's precision focus, single-pointed attention, one frequency sustained without deviation. When you can hold desired reality frequency for extended period without bouncing back to current reality frequency, cooling has occurred. System stabilizes, coherence forms. Practical cooling protocol. Daily period of zero input. No phone, no media, no conversation. Sit in silence. Every time mind generates thought about current limitation, notice it as thermal vibration. Don't fight it. Just observe without engaging. Thought loses energy and dissolves. Gradually, gaps between thoughts expand. Temperature drops. In deep cold, contradictions can't survive. Only coherent frequency remains. Advanced practitioners report experiencing what they describe as frequency lock, a state where desired reality feels more real than current reality, where vibration of manifestation becomes default and old limitation feels like distant memory, even though physical circumstances haven't updated yet. This is quantum cooling reaching critical temperature. Tunneling becomes inevitable from this state. Fifth and final method, action that collapses wave function. Quantum mechanics shows particles exist in superposition, multiple states simultaneously, until measurement collapses them into single state. Your life operates identically. Multiple timeline versions coexist as possibilities. Your observation, expressed through action, collapses one into physical manifestation. Critical distinction. This isn't action from desperation trying to force outcome. That's classical pushing against barrier. This is action from assumption of already being on other side. Action someone would naturally take who already has what you want. Person wanting relationship, but vibrating loneliness acts lonely. Avoids social situations. Doesn't maintain appearance. Operates from nobody wants me frequency. Wave function stays collapsed in lonely timeline. But person who has extended wave function to loved timeline acts loved before partner appears. Takes care of appearance, engages socially, makes space in life for relationship. These actions aren't trying to attract partner. They're natural expressions of someone already vibrating at relationship frequency. Actions collapse the superposition. Same with money. Someone collapsed in scarcity timeline acts scarce. Hoards resources, avoids spending on self, operates from not enough frequency. Wave function can't extend to abundance. But someone vibrating abundance acts abundant before bank account reflects it, invests in self-development, treats self well, operates from more than enough frequency, not reckless spending. Energetic abundance expressed through aligned action. Action collapses wave function into abundant timeline. The physics is clear. Superposition requires measurement to collapse. In quantum realm, measurement is observation. In consciousness realm, observation is attention plus action. You can't just think about desired reality. You must act as though you already inhabit it. Action is the measurement device that forces quantum probability to resolve into physical certainty. Watch how all 5 methods integrate. Person wants financial breakthrough. First, identifies this as quantum barrier because others in identical situations manifest money while they can't. Classical resources aren't the block. Frequency is. Second, extends wave function daily by spending 20 minutes feeling wealthy. Not visualizing future wealth, experiencing present moment sensation of financial freedom, breathing it, embodying it, vibrating it. Wave function expands toward abundant timeline. Third, discovers subconscious belief money causes problems is repelling conscious desire. I want wealth. Cool system through meditation. In calm state, reframes belief by researching people who use money to solve problems, not create them. Subconscious updates. Cooper pair forms between I want wealth and wealth enables solutions. Resistance vanishes. Fourth, eliminates noise. Stops consuming poverty consciousness media. Stops engaging in complaint conversations about economy. Stops rehearsing financial limitation stories. Mental temperature drops. Coherence stabilizes at wealthy frequency. Fifth, takes action from wealth consciousness. Invests in quality tools for work. Presents self professionally. Makes financial decisions from abundance assumption, not scarcity fear. These actions aren't trying to become wealthy. They're natural expressions of someone whose wave function already overlaps wealthy timeline. Actions collapse superposition. Physical result. Opportunities appear that weren't visible before, not because opportunities were absent, because person's wave function wasn't extended to frequency where those opportunities exist. Once extension happened, tunneling occurred. Person appeared in wealthy timeline without gradually climbing from poor to rich. Quantum leap. This is macroscopic tunneling applied to human consciousness. The 1985 experiment proved systems containing trillions of particles can tunnel collectively when coherence is maintained. You are a system containing trillions of particles, your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, actions. When all particles align at identical frequency, your entire life system can tunnel, not piece by piece, all at once. You don't slowly improve circumstances. You quantum leap to different timeline where those circumstances already exist in desired form. This isn't metaphor. This is physics applied to consciousness. The Nobel Prize confirmed it. Now apply it. There's something even more powerful than tunneling that recent experiments uncovered about how consciousness interacts with quantum fields. But that's next. If you made it this far, comment conscious tunneling so I know who really understood that barriers are illusions maintained by observers stuck in classical frequency. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Content bridging actual quantum physics, real Nobel Prize discoveries, with practical application for transforming consciousness. You won't find this just anywhere. The next video appearing on your screen continues expanding how you intentionally collapse realities. Don't stop watching now that you're beginning to understand how universe actually operates. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.